Harry and Meghan are in the upswing. Because what I'm hearing is people saying, well, Meghan was right. It's impossible being a member of that family. And people who think that Kate might have had some kind of a nervous breakdown, they're looking at what happened to Meghan. They're looking at what happened to Diana. And they're saying, yeah, it's impossible to live in that family. Meghan and Harry may be right. So in a way, I think in terms of their status, in terms of PR in America, it's gone up as a result of this.
How interesting, because over here all the polls are, they're getting more and more unpopular.
Yeah.
America is very important, Harvey, to the royal family, to the monarchy. I think if you took the American love of our royals away, you would be taking a very, very large chunk of their viability as a working, serving monarchy. How damaging is all this being, do you think, to the brand of the royal family and the monarchy?
I'll tell you why I think this is really damaging. That a lot of people in America, honestly, myself included, think that the royal family, it's just this stodgy group of people behind, this big wall at Buckingham Palace, and that William and Kate were kind of a breath of fresh air. That they were young, that they kind of connected to young people around the world, that they understood media. And now the way I think a lot of people are viewing this is they're using the same playbook as the 70 and 80-year-olds in the palace. And so there was this feeling and maybe even hope that William and Kate would dust off, what had been going on in the palace for years. And I think now they're kind of viewing them as part of the problem.
When Harvey Levin of TMZ observed that Americans now see the royal family through the lens of Princess Diana and Meghan Markle, he wasn't just making a passing comment. He was highlighting a seismic cultural shift that's been building for decades. He captured a profound transformation in how the public, especially in the United States, perceives the monarchy, no longer as untouchable icons, but as real people with real struggles. For years, the monarchy was a distant fairy tale, a symbol of tradition and glamour. But Diana's tragic fate and Meghan's very public struggles shattered that illusion, exposing the human cost behind the royal facade. Americans, unbound by centuries of British tradition, are more willing to see the royals as individuals, flawed, vulnerable, and sometimes even victims of their own institution. Meghan's openness about her mental health struggles resonated deeply with audiences, transforming what could have been dismissed as royal drama into a universal human story of pain, resilience, and the search for understanding. The racism and lack of support she faced echoed Diana's own experience. Outsiders punished for being different, for challenging the status quo, and for daring to speak their truth. The palace's silence in the face of relentless, often cruel headlines spoke volumes, revealing a system that seemed to prioritize its image and tradition over the well-being of its own family members. Levin's statement cuts through the noise and speculation, acknowledging that the world has seen the evidence, on television, in interviews, and across social media, and drawn its own conclusions about the monarchy's true nature. Diana and Meghan's stories are not isolated incidents, but chapters in a much larger saga, an institution clashing with the demands and values of a modern, more transparent world. For many, the fairy tale is over, replaced by a clear-eyed view of the pain, sacrifice, and sometimes heartbreak that exists behind the crown's glittering surface. This is the lens through which Americans now see the monarchy, a lens shaped by empathy, skepticism, and a desire for truth over tradition. The truth, once hidden behind palace walls, is now impossible to ignore, and it's changing the way the world sees royalty forever. Princess Diana's story was a warning the world watched unfold, a beloved figure isolated and hounded by the press. Her every move was scrutinized, her words twisted, and her vulnerability exposed for all to see. The relentless attention and lack of protection left Diana feeling alone, even as millions adored her from afar. She revealed the cracks in the crown, exposing a world far from the fairy tale. Behind the palace gates, the reality was one of pressure, secrecy, and a refusal to adapt to changing times. Instead of learning from Diana's pain, the monarchy let history repeat itself with Meghan Markle, another woman who entered the royal family with hope and optimism. Meghan, like Diana, was an outsider bringing fresh energy, only to face suspicion and hostility. Her warmth and modern perspective were met with resistance from both the institution and the public. The same ruthless press and unsupportive palace targeted Meghan, now with the added cruelty of racism. The headlines grew more vicious and the scrutiny more intense as she struggled to find her place. The monarchy had a chance to change, to protect Meghan, but failed. Instead of embracing her, they allowed old patterns to persist, missing an opportunity for growth and healing. When Meghan needed support, the institution chose silence. She was left to navigate the storm alone, echoing Diana's own struggles decades earlier. The echoes of Diana's loneliness returned, showing the monarchy's inability to evolve. The pain of isolation became a cycle, repeating itself with heartbreaking familiarity. Meghan's journey felt like a familiar tragedy, hope replaced by the reality that the institution wasn't ready for her. The promise of change faded, replaced by the weight of tradition and resistance. Diana's story warned of the dangers of rigidity. Meghan's proved the warning was ignored. Both women spoke out, but their voices were met with denial and defensiveness. The pain of the past became a living reality for a new generation, reminding us that without true change, history will always find a way to repeat itself. Meghan Markle's mistreatment was a modern, more insidious version of what Diana faced. The media's cruelty was amplified by online trolls and racism, weaponizing every aspect of Meghan's identity. The infamous concern over Archie's skin color exposed deep-seated bias at the heart of the institution. The palace's silence was a choice, signaling Meghan wasn't protected like other royals. This failure to defend her was complicity, leaving Meghan isolated and vulnerable. The monarchy prioritized its image over humanity, repeating the same mistakes. Meghan's experience confirmed the palace's priorities were misaligned with decency. The world watched as the institution stood by, failing to protect its own. The lesson from Diana was ignored. Humanity must come before tradition. The monarchy's greatest flaw is clear. Time and again, it protects its image over its people, prioritizing reputation above all else. When Meghan reached out in distress, she was told help wasn't possible. It would harm the institution's carefully crafted public image. The palace stayed silent on racist attacks but quickly denied trivial rumors, revealing its true priorities and what it truly values. Allegations of racism were met with defensiveness, not transparency or genuine accountability. The expectation is silent endurance for the crown's sake, with only conditional support in return for loyalty. Meghan and Harry refused to accept this, exposing the monarchy's urgent need for reform and change. Their story highlights an institution valuing its own survival over basic humanity and compassion. The crisis is not just PR, it's a deep, ongoing institutional flaw that demands real attention. The British media's bias is stark in its treatment of Meghan Markle versus Kate Middleton. Identical actions, like holding a baby bump, were praised for Kate, criticized for Meghan. This double standard extended to everything from food choices to protocol, painting Meghan as an outsider. The scrutiny Meghan faced was harsher, laced with racial undertones, especially as a new mother. The media upheld Kate as the perfect future queen, while casting Meghan as disruptive. This campaign of unfair comparisons created a toxic environment, isolating Meghan. The palace's willingness to let Meghan be the villain deflected attention from deeper issues. The difference in treatment wasn't about personality, it was about protecting insiders and punishing outsiders. The media's narrative made Meghan's life untenable. Prince Harry's decision to step back from royal duties wasn't an act of rebellion. It was a profound gesture of love and protection for his family. He recognized the mounting pressures and dangers that came with their public roles, and chose to shield Meghan and their son from the relentless scrutiny and criticism. Haunted by the tragic fate of his mother, Princess Diana, Harry saw the same destructive forces in the media and the institution targeting Meghan. The echoes of the past were impossible to ignore, fueling his determination to protect his loved ones at all costs. Meghan, a strong and independent woman in her own right, refused to lose her identity or voice to the institution's rigid demands. She stood tall, determined not to be silenced or diminished by tradition. Their departure was more than just a personal choice. It was a bold statement that the system they left behind was broken and unhealthy, unable to support or protect those within it. They chose mental health, peace, and family over duty to a crown that had failed to offer them safety or compassion. In prioritizing their well-being, they redefined what loyalty and courage truly mean. This wasn't abandonment, but an act of self-preservation, a chance to build a life on their own terms, free from the constraints and expectations that once defined them. Their escape sent a powerful message to the world. It's okay to walk away from harm, no matter how powerful or historic the source may be. Harry chose his family over his title, honoring Diana's memory by breaking the cycle of pain and forging a new legacy of hope and healing. Their new beginning stands as a powerful indictment of the institution they left behind, and a testament to the strength it takes to start over. Ultimately, their journey is a lesson in setting boundaries, choosing your own path, and having the courage to put love and well-being above all else. Harry and Meghan's story is a testament to the power of living your truth. By speaking openly about mental health, racism, and media harassment, they reclaimed their narrative. Their honesty shifted the public conversation, exposing the human cost of the monarchy's rigidity. The institution's failure to protect its own has damaged its reputation. Now, Harry and Meghan build a life based on their values, championing causes they believe in. Their freedom allows them to connect with people in ways impossible behind palace walls. They prove that service and impact don't require a royal title, just commitment and authenticity. Their journey challenges old power structures and inspires others to choose honesty over tradition. The ultimate lesson: love and truth matter more than any crown.